got run over by a reindeer. Walking home from our house Christmas Eve. You can say there's no such thing as Santa. But as for me and Grandpa, we believe.
Yeehaw! Welcome to the Strong and the Geek podcast.
Merry Christmas!
Happy holidays!
Rosh Hashanah!
Happy Hanukkah!
Ramadan!
Happy birthday!
Jesus!
Yes, well played. I am your host, Josh Ramirez. With me is my special guest co-host, not the Winter Warlock. And this is the Strong
and the Geek.
Your one-stop shop for everything: comic books, movies, television, music, candy bars,
video games,
World War II trivia,
World War I reenactments.
Beatles.
Be Franz Ferdinand.
Beatles memorabilia.
Pretending to be ghosts to scare people out of old amusement parks to collect the insurance money.
Wanting them to build a bomb and then replacing it with pinball ball parts. Anyway, we have a very exciting show for you tonight on this, our 2016 Christmas holiday special.
Yeah, spooky Christmas.
Spooky Christmas.
Ooh, the ghosts of Christmas.
Normally, we would have an episode totally dedicated to the wonder that is the holiday season. But this holiday, we were given the greatest gift of all. Goddamn Star Wars.
Yeah.
So we will be talking about and delving into our review for Rogue One, a Star Wars story, in just a bit. But first, since it is the holiday, and we typically have holidays, our holiday tradition here at the Strong and the Geek is we have to play little games.
Yeah, we play a little game every holiday to remind ourselves to have some good time on the holidays.
And pardon me, I have been getting over a little cold, so if I cough on the show, just imagine it's a coughing or something nerdy, and that way you'll ignore it.
Coughing the Pokemon, not just Josh coughing.
Yeah, if I start wheezing the Pokemon, then we're really going to be in trouble.
Yeah.
Alright, so here's the game. This is how it works. I'm just going to interview you with some questions. You tell me what's going on. If you want to add a little pizzazz or something silly to it, feel free. Are you ready?
Sure.
Question 1. What is the best Christmas present you've ever received?
Best Christmas present I ever received was when I was 13. I got a electronic keyboard that I could jam out on, and I learned to play it. It had a little display on it with lights that would teach you how to play songs, and it taught me how to play a whole bunch of songs.
Okay, I remember that keyboard. I learned a couple things from it too. All right. Okay. Question 2.
Yeah.
What is your favorite holiday film?
My favorite holiday film is probably Home Alone.
Home Alone 1?
Oh, yeah, the original.
Okay.
Just to see Kevin McAllister
eat cheese pizza?
Eat cheese pizza and murder bandits.
Yeah, okay.
Because let's be honest, they're not surviving this Christmas.
Oh, they should definitely be dead. Alright, question 3. Favorite holiday special of a regular non-holiday TV show?
The Christmas episode of Community where we go inside Abed's brain, and it's like a cartoon world, and they do the whole thing in the style of like the original Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, that kind of stop-motion animation. That was a really good one.
Okay, never saw that one, but alright.
Oh, yeah. All the characters turn into things that, like, one of them's a teddy bear, and one of them's like a Jack-in-the-Box, and yeah.
Like the Misfit Toys.
Yeah.
Okay. Question number 4. Favorite aspect of the wintertime, the holiday season?
Eggnog.
Okay.
And drinking eggnog, a lot of it.
With rum in it, or?
With whiskey in it.
Bourbon.
No, I make mine with regular, like, Canadian whiskey.
Oh, because I had eggnog for the first time this past weekend with bourbon in it, and it was great.
Yeah, well, I'm going to have to make you some eggnog.
No, I mean, I had never had eggnog before, ever.
Mine is the best.
Okay. Next question. Favorite holiday song?
Other than Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer?
An instant classic. I was going to ignore that, but that we played that.
My favorite winter song?
Holiday song.
Holiday song. Oh, Come All Ye Faithful, just because it makes me giggle inside a little bit.
Okay.
Just by the title.
Aw, come on. Ye Faithful. And, come on, ye faithfuls, even worse than come on, ye faithful.
In my mind, I always just drop the all and switch it for on.
Okay. And finally, your favorite holiday tradition.
My favorite holiday tradition is one that my wife hates me for because they don't do it in her family. And that's what we as a family have done every year as I can remember. We open gifts one at a time so that everybody is engaged and talking about what everybody got. And there's more time. People are having conversations in between unwrapping gifts. You should watch Christmas morning at their house. It's just like Tasmanian devils. They all just tear through their presents.
I hate when people do that, because then it makes Christmas good. Like, Christmas is literally over in like 2 minutes.
Yeah, their Christmas morning is like 10 minutes.
And you don't have the
tops.
chance to even thank
Our Christmas morning is at least an hour.
Yeah, a multiple hour event. It's fun.
Yeah.
Plus, you get to appreciate every gift then, because you have to appreciate the gift you just opened before you even get to the next one.
Plus, when we were kids, everything would stop right in the middle of it so that my dad could play with the dog as soon as he got like a thing of tennis balls.
Right. And
we would all be waiting on him to get back.
Well, more importantly, I think there was the anticipation, too, because you had to wait for the next gift, so you had already been waiting all the 65 days,
yeah.
And now you had to wait a little bit longer.
How often would you do what I would do, which is to, like, tear just the corner so you could see what the next gift was?
I didn't do it, actually, but I would shake them. I'd shake the shit out.
Oh, I would do it all the time. I would just tear just a corner while no one was looking so I could peek at what the next gift was.
I mean, it depends. If it was something I shook and then, like, really wanted to see inside of, then maybe, but...
Like, you shook it, and it yelped because it was a dog that was suffocating to death because our parents don't know how air works.
Right, or a human hand.
Yeah. Do human hands yelp?
No, yeah, I could cut them off.
Like, oh my god.
Yeah, oh my god. You obviously never made hand puppets.
Yeah. What you guys can't see from home is that I'm just miming my hand talking.
Yeah, we're doing oh my god, yeah. But I guess isn't every puppet a hand puppet? No, there's other puppets that they do.
You still control my hand.
That's true.
If it was a puppet that you didn't control by hand, it would just be like a mascot suit.
Yeah, or Chucky.
Ooh, God, yeah.
You control
or
him.
A robot,
yeah.
Just like but then it's a robot. You wouldn't call it that. Yeah, that robot over there's a puppet. Yeah. It would be like, fuck you, I'm a robot.
Right. So that's it. That's pretty much the game. Super lame. Huh?
Hooray!
Yeah, fun. So yeah, moving on. What did you get into this week? Anything you want to highlight?
Oh, yeah. I checked out Justice League Action.
I haven't gone to watch it yet. I want to.
Yeah, the premiere was pretty cool. It focuses around Black Adam returning and casting the wizard Shazam out of the Rock of Eternity.
So then Captain Marvel has to...
He captures Captain Marvel in the form of
Billy
Batson. And right as he's going to yell Shazam, he throws like this orb that captures the lightning, so he can't become Shazam. So then he's just, Black Adam is in control of the Rock of Eternity. He's got Billy Batson like chained up, just like hanging from the ceiling. And Batman just runs into the wizard Shazam.
The actual Shazam.
Yeah. He just runs into him in the street.
Just for the sake of not confusing people, can you call Shazam Shazam and call Captain Marvel Captain Marvel?
Whatever. Sure. So Batman runs into Shazam as he's being pursued by these monsters.
Okay.
And Batman keeps like trying to help him, and the wizard Shazam keeps saying, "I don't need your help. I don't need help from some guy dressed up like a bat."
Right.
And Batman's like, "What?" But eventually, it breaks off into several storylines once Batman does help Shazam get his power back, or Captain Marvel get his power back,
right?
And cast Black Adam out of the Rock of Eternity, because before that happens, Black Adam releases a bunch of monsters into the world. So then it breaks off into several different stories where we have Superman and Wonder Woman fighting Parasite, and then Parasite merges with one of the demons from the Rock of Eternity and becomes a super powerful lava monster that almost destroys the world.
Okay, sounds pretty cool.
I'm trying to remember the other one. That was the one that I was really watching. Meanwhile, I ended up having to go do some other thing. But yeah, so there's several different stories happening simultaneously, which then they all come together to defeat the monsters and to re-secure Shazam in charge of the Rock of Eternity.
Sounds cool.
So it was a pretty cool way to kick off the new show. It's like an hour-long special.
Is there any way you can watch it other than is Cartoon Network? Is it available on anything else?
I don't know.
Hulu? Or anything?
No. Hulu probably wouldn't be.
On demand?
Yeah, you probably on demand. I don't know. It's going to be a Cartoon Network exclusive. It's becoming a series now.
Right.
Which is cool.
Well, obviously I'll have to check it out. I've been looking forward to it. But it was Saturday morning, and Saturday mornings I don't watch cartoons. So I don't have children.
Oh well. Saturday mornings are the best mornings for cartoons.
One Saturday morning.
Now, one thing I will say about it is that, it's a kids show, but it's more in line with what like the older Justice League show and the older superhero shows than the stuff that we have had. Because recently Cartoon Network is just a bunch of light and noise.
Yeah.
And I love Teen Titans Go. Don't get me wrong. That show's a lot of fun. But it's...
Still
it was nice to have... I was afraid that it was going to be, like, Batman pulling pranks on Cyborg or whatever. Oh, by the way, the cast is great.
Right.
You got Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill back. And
Tim Daly's back as Superman.
Mark Hamill's voicing, like, 4 or 5 different characters.
It's awesome.
And like, Patton Oswalt is a character on the show. There's a huge cast. And I'm excited to see what they do with it. They do have one joke, which was really funny when they brought in John Constantine, because whoever the voice actor is that did his voice was clearly putting on a Cockney accent.
Right.
A really bad one.
Okay.
And Batman, like, he shows up, he's like, "Hello, everyone!" And they all look at him, and Batman's like, Constantine was hit with a accent, what's the word he uses? An accent, exaggeration spell.
Okay.
Or something like the joke is, we don't have a actual British sounding actor to do this.
Just yet.
So we're just gonna have someone do a big joke accent.
That's kind of hilarious.
Yeah, it was a good joke.
So, speaking about cartoons and new cartoons, we got news this week for another cartoon coming back from our childhood.
Oh?
So in 2017 summer, Disney XD or whatever is remaking DuckTales.
Woo!
Yes. And so they released this week the cast for DuckTales, and can I say, this cast is awesome.
If you told me that cast was going to be in a movie together, I would pay money to go see that film.
This cast features alums from Parks and Rec, Community, SNL, like, it's...
Doctor Who.
Yeah. And also Steven Universe. So it's gonna be star-studded. Let's hope that... I mean, DuckTales, the original DuckTales was sweet.
Well, let's go through this real quick. We got David Tennant as Scrooge McDuck.
Mm-hmm.
We have Kate Micucci as Webby.
Mm-hmm. Ben Schwartz is Dewey, so,
John Ralphio.
John Ralphio, yeah. I was gonna say the other guy's name, his dad's name, actually. John Ralphio, yeah.
We got Bobby Moynihan.
Yeah, as Louie.
As Louie. And Danny Pudi, who plays Abed, the Curse
as Huey.
As Huey. And then, of course, Beck Bennett is going to be Launchpad McQuack.
Who was my least favorite character.
But I think that's good casting.
Yeah,
I think Beck Bennett's really good for that role.
And then Tox Olagundaye, who I am not familiar with her work, but she is Bentina... I forgot the name.
Sextina Aquafina, baby!
No, the maid. The maid duck. Remember they had that maid duck?
No, I don't, actually.
Yeah, they had the old woman duck who was Scrooge McDuck's maid, who would always tell them to stop, knock out the racket.
Was she...
I think that's who it is.
Do I remember right? Was she, Jamaican?
I don't think so.
Or am I thinking of Tailspin?
I think you're thinking of Tailspin.
Yeah, where they were on an
you're
island.
definitely thinking of Tailspin.
Was it Launchpad McQuack? No, it wasn't Launchpad McQuack. It was just a bear that basically did the exact same thing.
Baloo.
No, it was Baloo the bear.
Tailspin, it was Baloo. Yeah. Launchpad McQuack was basically, was the same.
Basically the exact same character.
But DuckTales was awesome. I'm excited for DuckTales.
You got the only black actress to be the maid? How do we feel about that?
No, I'm sure there's going to be other voice actors. I just think that she probably did the voice for that character well.
Okay.
Yeah. She has a cool accent. She's probably South African or something. I don't know.
Fair enough.
No,
Sorry, that was when you said the maid. I was like, oh, come on.
No, man.
Come on, Hollywood.
Disney's pretty progressive. They know what they're doing.
Although that'll be something we talk about later. So I guess that'll bring us to our Geek of the Week.
Which, as a matter of fact, happens to be Disney.
Yeah, Disney. Huzzah. So, Disney has had a hell of a year.
They might be Geek of the Year.
Yeah, you see, Disney just crossed the record set by Universal last year for the biggest box office cumulative ever, about $7 billion.
Right.
And even crazier than that is that Disney made up, I think 24% of the global market share in movies this year. So, if you went to the movies 4 times, at least one of those was a Disney movie.
Approximately.
Isn't that crazy?
If you went to the movies 100 times, 24 of them were Disney movies.
Good math.
If you're watching 100 different movies.
Yeah. But, I mean, when you have Disney in charge of Marvel, in charge of Star Wars, in charge of
Moana
and Zootopia.
Yeah.
When you have,
I mean, they really were knocking it out of the park here.
yeah,
Like,
it was a gangbuster year for
they
Disney.
cap off the year with Rogue One. I mean, I don't know, man. I don't think they could really. Mickey's gonna be fucking some bitches tonight.
Also, weren't you telling me about a cool thing they were doing with drones?
Yeah, I saw a video this week that at their vacation spot, not the actual park, like where they have the streets where they have shops and bars and stuff that connect all Epcot and everything.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot what they call that, but they're doing some for the holiday season. They're doing these they're teaming up with IBM or something to do this crazy drone holiday light show in the sky. So it's we have holiday light shows, laser light shows. Well, this one is drones that create the lights and stuff from them.
Oh, okay.
Which apparently has never been done before. So
Yeah, I saw that a picture and
it looks sweet.
Was what I saw? I think was the hawk
I
from the night sky in Pocahontas.
Perhaps.
Remember
Yeah.
when they're looking up and there's the silhouette of the hawk and the stars behind it?
Yeah. Truthfully, I thought it was maybe a turtle dove or something. But...
I don't know. It's just what I thought of. We'll tweet it out and you guys can fight over.
But yeah,
who's
but
right.
Disney, as much as I hate to admit how great you've been doing, just because I don't screw the man and corporations. Good for you guys.
Yeah,
Geek
this does
of the
seem like
year.
we're filleting our corporate overlords.
I'm just saying they gave us DuckTales, so we have to give them a little bit before we give them even more for Star Wars. Which, without further ado, I don't really give.
Speaking of Disney,
Anything else you have to mention?
No.
So let's just delve right into the galaxy far away once more
Yeah.
with Rogue One, a Star Wars story. You know what? I'm going to come out of the gate strong here. 10 out of 10.
Wow, that is strong.
Out the box.
This
This is probably going to be a bitch fest for you.
No. I also love this movie.
I don't have anything to complain about.
I think it was a 9.5.
Okay.
Maybe a 10. I love this movie.
Yeah.
I absolutely do. We're both going to be talking about how good it is. I am going to point out a couple things that I didn't like, but they're nitpicks.
Well, let's start with the things that are just overall crazy nostalgic. So, for one, this is the prequel that all prequels should be.
The nostalgia is very strong with this one.
But not even fan service. This legitimately feels like the story that leads directly to A New Hope. My friend actually, who had never seen, hasn't seen any of them other than A New Hope, asked if it was okay. Should he watch the other movies before seeing this one? And I said no. You should watch this one, and then watch A New Hope again.
Yeah. I feel like watching this one back to back with A New Hope is going to become a fun tradition.
I mean, now it's gonna have people have to watch 1, 2, 3, Rogue One, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Or they could just watch Rogue One, 4, 5, 6.
Yeah, you gotta get 1, 2, 3 so you understand.
Yeah.
But yeah, so in that sense, they capture the aesthetic anytime they're in a familiar place, such as on any of the Imperial ships, or if they're on Yavin 4 or whatever. You feel like you're right in 1977, ready to go.
Yeah. Although, speaking of the prequels, Darth Vader's castle is on Mustafar.
Yes, which is awesome.
Is great. One of the things they talked about is the fact that he specifically has his castle there because it brings such painful, angry memories
that
it just fuels the dark side.
Oh, and I totally thought that was awesome.
He's just over there brooding.
And that's the other thing I was going to say, is that I feel like no part of this was like no, this is the true prequel. Fuck those other movies. No, bringing back Bail Organa, tapping into things like Mustafar and having Saw Gerrera from the Clone Wars cartoon series, like
having the same actor and actress that were Mon Mothma and Bail Organa
in Revenge of the Sith.
In Revenge of the Sith.
I mean, I don't know. For all that, to me, this really felt like a bridge between two sagas, and also was just fantastic.
I mean, obviously more connected to
A New Hope, yeah,
the originals, but also closer to them in the timeline.
Yeah, by weeks.
So let's start off with the beginning of the movie. No opening crawl, which was I knew was going to happen. Someone had told me that, like I'd read that somewhere.
Catches you off guard.
But I was expecting blah, bah, 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 and it went right into it, and I was like, oh, this feels wrong.
I didn't. I
feels
know,
like I'm doing it with the other hand.
For me, it was like they're trying to separate these from the core saga. I get it.
Yeah, no, I didn't care.
Yeah.
But at first it was just like, oh, that's not right.
Right, I got you.
where's Star Wars?
Right. So very quickly we meet Jyn Erso, the main character of the film, and her father, Galen Erso, and then the mother, who Galen Erso obviously becomes a big plot point. And the guy Director Krennic, who we figure out is the military leader in charge of the Death Star construction. Which,
yes. Ben Mendelsohn's character.
Yeah, so he comes and gets Mads Mikkelsen's character, Galen Erso, and basically steals him away to have him keep working on the Death Star.
Yeah.
And Jyn Erso
kills his wife.
Yeah, which is pretty brutal. Jyn Erso gets away, and Saw Gerrera picks her up and raises her for the next 15 years or something like that. So right from the get-go, it reminded me about how the Empire is... It brought me back into the Empire. Like, literally, the movie started, and within the first 5 minutes of that beginning scene, I leaned over to my friend and was like, dude, I fucking love the Empire. Like, in real life, I'd hate them, but in the movie, I love the Empire.
Well, it opens up, there's the world that they're on, and you see the Star Destroyer coming in. It was just... This movie is so well shot, and I know... When I say well shot, it's kind of bizarre because a lot of it's done in an editing room on a computer, but because it's
cinematography,
CGI planets, whatever.
But they know.
But it's Gareth Edwards' sense of scale and the use of light and shadow for things to just appear on screen as if they were blocked by shadow by other planets or whatever. It's just so well done.
And I really like the design for the black stormtroopers.
The Death Troopers, yeah.
Is that what they're called?
Mm-hmm.
They were sweet.
Yeah. Okay, so then we jump forward in time. Jyn Erso is on a
captive.
She's a prisoner,
imperial prisoner.
Yeah, and she goes to get moved, and while getting moved, the convoy gets attacked by the Rebel Alliance.
Right, and the Rebels broke her free. The reason why is because a Imperial cargo ship pilot defected, and after Galen Erso sent him with a message about the Death Star, revealing it to Saw Gerrera, who's from Star Wars Clone Wars, and is about to, it got announced this week, is going to be showing up in Rebels, the new show. He's supposed to be trying to get him, because him and Galen Erso were old war buddies or something. I don't know.
And Saw Gerrera is basically leading a militant
ISIS.
Terrorist
He's basically the leader of ISIS.
That was one of the things that we'll talk about that when we get to that.
No, I know that was not an accident at all.
Yeah.
I actually like that imagery.
But
it so
we'll talk about it in a minute.
No, no, we got there.
Okay, fine. We'll skip over to that point in the story.
Well, people listening to this have seen the movie. We don't need to tell them.
Okay, fair enough. So, here was my concern about, not that there was a sect of the Rebel Alliance that was more aggressive.
Well, this was
That's fine.
Well, they say specifically this is the Rebel Alliance. These are extremists.
Well, that they initially were, but they broke off because they're too violent. They're attacking convoys or whatever, and we see that in the movie. We see a guerrilla-style attack.
And also, they're not listening. They're following their own rules. They're not listening to what
Here's the thing.
Them were trying to do.
Yeah. Here's the thing I didn't like. The fact that when we see the Rebel Alliance, it's like the ones that are fighting against the power but are level-headed and good about it, almost exclusively white folk. When we go to the little desert cave dwellings where people literally wearing turbans, they were dark-skinned and led by a black guy.
No, okay.
I know that maybe I shouldn't be throwing the race in here,
on you.
but it was so obvious when I was watching the movie.
That's on you.
I was like, Really, you're gonna tell me that the militant, angry version of it is just like space ISIS?
Okay, hold on. I'm going to stop you right there and say why I disagree entirely with that idea. One, when they show the entire Rebel Alliance in there having that big argument about what they're trying to do and everything, that is a very diverse room.
Sure.
And so that already negates your thing. Two, the planet that they're on is a desert. It's like a whole planet that's basically a Middle East whole planet. So it's not unusual that the people living on that planet would resemble people that live in the Middle East in on Earth. That's not that wearing that kind of clothing is because that's what they wear in the desert. That's not unusual.
I understand that, but the thing I'm saying is that
no, I think you're looking for something to be offended about.
Hear me out. We're living in a day and age where the narrative is that Arabs are terrorists.
But these are the good guys.
And
these are still the good guys.
No, they're not. They point out the fact that they're not good guys.
No, they say they're extremists, but they're still fighting the Empire. The Empire is always the bad guys.
Like, we see Saul Guerrero torture a guy that's on his side.
Yeah, but because he
lost.
Which
was in my opinion, the only unnecessary scene in the movie. That weird squid-topus.
Okay, actually, that I find that unusual, but I think
and the thing is, he was like, it'll break your mind, and then it didn't.
It
did for like a minute.
No, I think the implication there is that if it happens repeatedly, because I think my thought was that thing was used against Saw Gerrera, and that's why he became like schizophrenic.
Yeah, no, I feel like that was the implication. That was fine.
Right.
But we could have just had Saul Guerrero crazy from years of war, and not had. I mean, because he's been fighting since the Clone Wars.
Right.
So that makes plenty of fine sense to me without having a weird squid monster.
No, it's Star Wars, though. Like, they're squid monsters. It's Star Wars.
Yeah.
To just really quick, I thought the imagery of them, showing them as, like, these guerrilla fighter terrorists, I thought that was like, yes, that is what they are. We live in the day and age now where, no, we don't have to make the Rebel Alliance look like the goody two-shoes against the evil Empire. No, they are terrorists.
Okay, well, if that's going to be the case, then in my mind, just dress them differently or have them speaking the common
That's
speech.
how they would...
Don't make it obvious to the viewer that the people speaking English are... like the big technological whatever, and the people speaking the other language, they're the desert hobbit home guys. Like it just seems like it's kind of racist.
I don't. You need to go. Did you only see the movie one time?
Yeah.
Go back and see it again.
It's still a great movie. It's a nitpick.
No,
it's a nitpick.
Half the dudes are like robots and stuff, and aliens. Like,
yeah.
Only a couple of them were people.
Aliens.
No, only a couple of them were actually like what looked human-like.
Yeah, and how many of them were white?
I mean, you could barely tell. They were covered up because they live on a freaking desert planet. Also, they don't want the Empire to see their faces and identify them.
It's just
it's common sense.
a thing that sticks out to me, man. It's my critique of the movie.
Well,
you can have your critique of the movie.
My critique of the movie is that
nothing was wrong with this movie.
I think you're looking...
It was made by God himself.
No, I think you look for things to get mad about.
No, I just look for things that I don't think are up to snuff.
I haven't heard a single person make that argument.
Really?
Nobody. Everybody's like, oh yeah, they're the rebels. Like, they're rebels.
They're
on a desert planet.
They are space ISIS.
Yeah, they are space ISIS. On a desert planet. Anyway.
Moving on.
Okay. What did you enjoy?
I enjoyed the entire film. But if I'm just sitting there like, oh, and you remember that? Remember Star Wars? Remember this part? Then it's just member berries. If I can point out, like, hey, you know what, this is a great movie, but all movies have some faults, then it's a real conversation.
I don't know. I like discussing the parts that are...
I'm just saying, like, this could be a really short discussion. This movie was great. End of podcast.
No, that's why we highlight the things that are good. All right. We'll let you continue to highlight the bad, in quotation marks.
Lowlight it.
Okay. The good here, obviously. So the plot, solid. We always wondered how they got the Death Star plans. I mean,
how many Bothans did die?
No, that's later. But this is so we want to know what happened to this group that stole these plans and yada, yada, yada. Now we get to see this, and I think that entire sequence really the whole film really puts the war in Star Wars for legitimately the first time. I know Attack of the Clones kinda, Revenge of the Sith kinda, and all the other movies kinda, but this really was a war movie, not a Jedi movie.
Or a space fantasy.
Right.
Yeah.
And the war sequences were awesome. Like we mentioned, even from the trailers we knew that it was going to look like the Rebels situation was really bad. And that's what it was every single time. The Empire was on a massive scale. AT-AT's walking on the beach, blowing people up. and the Rebels are just a little tiny faction, and I'm surprised they lasted as long as they did.
Yeah. One of the things that I really enjoyed, kind of also talking about to Gareth Edwards, and as I said before, his sense of scale and the shadow and lighting and whatnot. There was a particular shot early on in the movie where you see a TIE fighter flying, and then out of the shadow, it's flying in front of a Star Destroyer, and then it kind of pulls back, and the Star Destroyer is flying, and out of the shadow, you see that it's the entire backdrop is the Death Star. Because one of the things that what we saw in the old movies is we saw the Death Star at a distance, and then we saw the inside of the Death Star. We didn't get to see it compared to other things.
Yeah.
To see just how massive this facility is.
For me, the scene that really was like, holy shit, the Death Star is enormous, is on Jeddah when they looked up and the Death Star was there right before it blew the laser.
Yeah.
And it was like blotting out the sky.
Speaking of which, just when they get to Jeddah and over that city, the Star Destroyer is just hanging, and it's bigger than the entire city.
It was awesome.
And then you see the inside of the city, and it's a huge city.
Yeah.
It's massive, and it's super populated. Again, it's this movie is like a lesson in how to do scale right.
Yeah. So basically, they leave Jeddah, get the planet, go to the Rebel Alliance.
Jeddah gets blown the fuck up.
The Death Star practice run blows it up. They are declined, so Jyn teams up with her buddies she's made along the way. Rogue One, they go, steal the Death Star plans, hand them off, they all die, end the movie, set up New Hope. Like, the plot's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
The plot didn't surprise anybody. But let's talk about the things that did surprise people, such as some of the cameos that we did not see coming. So we mentioned, obviously, Bail Organa, which was cool to see.
Mm-hmm.
We got C-3PO and R2-D2 keeping their stretch as the only characters.
Keeping the tradition of the only characters in every movie.
And I had a couple people say to me, like, I feel like, why did they have to have C-3PO and R2-D2? And I was like, because that's where they were. They were on Yavin 4.
Well, and you know what? It makes sense because this movie ends exactly where Episode 4 picks up.
Yes, which they would be on that ship.
So we'd be like, so where were... you know what I mean? Like, he literally is like, we're going to... What was the name of the planet?
Scarif.
Yeah, we're going to Scarif. Everyone's going to Scarif.
I'm not allowed to tell me. Yeah, because they would have to be on that ship to set up New Hope.
Speaking of which, little side cameo, you remember that little guy that was with the terrorists? the
Rogue
short,
One.
yeah, no, not Rogue One. The one that was with Saul Guerrero's men.
Oh, the
short, tiny
guy,
little thing with the big face. Warwick Davis.
I don't know who that is.
Warwick Davis. He was the guy in R2-D2.
Oh.
And Willow.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
The best little actor other than Peter Dinklage.
Cool. I had no idea.
Yeah.
Nice.
So it was cool to see Warwick Davis come back and actually do something.
Star Wars. Yeah. There you go. But yeah, other ones that we got were the gold leader and red leader from old footage that wasn't used in A New Hope.
Yeah, that was cool. Really cool. That's how you repurpose footage.
Yeah, that was very cool.
We got to see why Red 5 was open for Luke.
Which was awesome, yeah, he got killed.
Which was also a great callback because it was a chubby guy getting shot and it was like, oh, Porkins! Yeah. We're about to lose Porkins.
Typical. I know Chopper from Star Wars Rebels can be seen in one of the scenes in the corner, like beeping around. So that's kind of a cool nod to the cartoon series. We got Leia at the end, which done through mocap and then CG to face, which looked really cool and was a good ending. We got Tarkin, which I enjoyed. You not so much. We'll talk about that in a second.
Sure.
But in my opinion, the greatest gift of all, we got Darth Vader for something like maybe 5 minutes.
If that.
But oh my sweet Lord in heaven, was it 5 minutes of perfection.
From the first moment where the Bacta tank's coming down and we see him, you know what I mean? I'm glad they didn't show completely him talking.
Right.
From inside the Bacta tank. But just the idea that when we don't see him being badass, he's forced to live like an elf on the shelf. You know what I mean?
He has to, because
he's just a weapon.
Pretty much, yeah. So, like we mentioned, Vader's castle. We see Vader's castle, which is from, I think, the comic books or something.
Well, actually, there was...
Or one of the novels or something.
There was apparently artwork drawn up for it to be back as early as Empire.
Right.
that they wanted to straight up make it like a fantasy castle.
Yeah.
Like I think
he's like the Dark Knight.
George Lucas describes it as being a like black granite and black iron above. Like lit up from the glow of lava.
Right.
Like they straight up just were like, "Hey, Lucas, this was your idea."
Right. But then they were like
straight up.
But they were like Mustafar, because
Yeah.
that's where he would have the most. Padme died on Mustafar in his mind.
That's where he became Vader.
Darth Vader on Mustafar.
So he just stays there to like wallow in anger and self-pity.
Now, I will say one thing. This wasn't like anything. Like, if we're gonna be nitpicky, this actually is kind of just an aside for me. When they first the camera pans onto Mustafar and it's going up towards the castle and how the castle was designed, and everything with the lava there, I was like, oh shit, they're in Mordor. Like, that was my first thought for just maybe half a second. But then I knew instantly they're Mustafar.
Yeah. Well, my thought was, why the fuck would he stay on Mustafar? And then it kind of clicked. I was like, oh wait, it's the dark side.
Yeah,
it's
and for me it made
side.
complete sense. I was like, that's where Padme died, and that's his driving force, his entire character arc. So, but Vader first, Krennic goes to talk to him about. Yeah, am I still in charge?
The door opens up, the fog rolls out, and then we see Krennic standing, and the shadow of Darth Vader looming over him.
In terms of a cinematography perspective, that might have been you talking about scale. That might have been my favorite scale, because we never get a really great idea based on camera angles and stuff how enormous Vader is and how much. But his shadow was such a presence.
God, what a good, well shot movie! If this movie had come out and none of it made any sense, the plot or whatever, it would still be so beautiful.
Oh yeah,
just a visual masterpiece. So Vader comes down the ramp.
We get good old James Earl doing the voice, as always.
Yeah. Did you notice that the neckline on the suit looked off? It looked like it poked out more. The original one kind of went down into the suit. This one seemed to be on the outside of the suit.
The suit, to me, something looked a little bit different about it, but not I couldn't peg what it is, but it wasn't anything bad. It just looked like maybe this was a different version of the suit or an.
It looks to me. It almost looked like he put it on quick because he had company. You know what I mean?
He did just come out of the back neck.
It looked like the neck part was supposed to be tucked in, and he didn't tuck it in. Which, of course, this movie didn't make it out with the suit wrong. But after rewatching clips from episode 4, it's different. Right. It's close, but it's different. I like that they went with the red tint to the lenses, because that's a nod to when he's inside his TIE interceptor, the red glow from it,
and also Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah, that was a neat touch.
Yeah.
But yeah, he comes down, does this whole thing. He makes a little joke. He gets a little cheeky.
He does. He gets a little quip. He don't choke on your aspirations. And I was like, yes, Vader's got jokes.
And I like that he turns around and he has the hand. It wasn't like what Kylo Ren did, where he just spins around and holds up his hand in the air. It was just this slow,
subtle. Yeah.
He was straight up Count Dracula.
He was,
know what I mean?
and so
suave and badass.
And that's scene 1 of Vader. We got Vader one more time.
Oh, in a scene that should have been an hour and a half.
Can I just go on a limb saying that this was the greatest villain moment in cinema history?
It was a straight up horror movie.
It was I was terrified. So obviously the rebels are running, and this is one we have to describe it again. The rebels get the plans. They're trying to get them out of there, get them on the ship so they can get to Leia.
The door's stuck.
So, and suddenly, the alarm's sounding off. All the power goes out, and all you see amidst the smoke is the lightsaber go off, and then
the room bathed in red light.
And then Vader goes on a killing spree, and just this was the Darth Vader we've always wanted to see, from the comic books and stuff. Him force choking one guy in the air while slashing the other guy. Then he throws the dead body, catching laser beams and shooting them, and
pulling all their guns away.
Yeah,
like it was that. Seriously, he walked down that hallway so nonchalantly,
and it was the most intense thing.
It was just spinning his lightsaber on murder spree. I like that they didn't get silly and have him doing jumps and flips or whatever.
No,
it was because it seemed so effortless.
No,
to him.
This was solidified my opinion that Darth Vader is the greatest fictional villain ever.
Yeah, he was.
Oh my god! I don't know if you noticed this, but when he put his lightsaber through to melt the door to get through, he stabbed that through a guy. Yeah. He stabbed through a guy and melted the door.
Well, and I love that they're like, here, just take this. Just get out of
they
here.
They know they're done.
We know we're dead.
And
Hopefully he'll be quick with us.
And it just ends with Vader staying there watching Leia's ship go off. And I was just like, oh, why can't we have a whole Darth Vader movie? This made me want a Darth Vader movie so bad.
Yeah. And another thing, I thought that shot was neat, where he's just him and I think some Death Troopers were with him, staring out at the ship leaving. It was reminiscent of the ending of Empire.
Absolutely, 100%.
Where they're all just staring out the window. I felt like that was probably intentional.
Absolutely. I thought
they
it was
spun it around.
Yeah, like a backwards version of Empire. But yeah, so Gareth Edwards, you stole my heart just having Darth Vader in the movie at all. But then I almost got up and applauded. Just that.
I just wanted more of that. I would have loved to have seen Darth Vader touch down during that battle.
I was really hoping that he was going to get on
he was going to touch down during that battle.
Like, I wanted the rebels to be winning until Vader got
pick
there.
up one of the AT-ATs and just throw it at rebels.
I really wanted to see, like I said, the rebels winning until Vader got there and then just murder them all.
That was, in my opinion, we haven't talked about Tarkin yet. Cut a section with Tarkin in it and add another section with Vader in it.
Yeah.
Do the same runtime.
So we can bridge this.
Or cut the scene with the octopus attacking and give us more Vader.
Cut out one half of the characters. Just Darth Vader every scene. But yeah, so Tarkin, I will say, I liked that Tarkin was supposed to be, because he was originally intended to be like the real villain of A New Hope.
Yeah.
And Vader was like the Dark Knight.
He's like Hitler.
Yeah. So I liked that Tarkin was given more to do in this movie. It kind of gives more to him in A New Hope. It makes him more evil and that kind of thing. And I honestly was fine with CGing him to bring him back, to make him look like the original actor and everything. My thing was, I agree with you, have more Vader. Like if we cut down about like 2 of Tarkin's scenes and made them Vader scenes, I don't know.
Well, and then I think the problem is that the technology is just about there. And in most movies where we get what's the word? And de-aging, like we see young Tony Stark in Captain America: Civil War, or we see young Michael Douglas in Ant-Man,
or young Arnold Schwarzenegger in Terminator.
Yeah, they're quick. They're not long-winded scenes, so it's not long enough for you to stare and be like, "Oh, I noticed that, and I noticed that." You know what I mean? So I think that first, what they should have done was had more of, you can have him in person for one of the scenes, but
have him facing away.
Or have him come in on a hologram.
His bald spot was pretty good.
He could have been talking via a hologram, and then you wouldn't be able to point out anything because it's that blue kind of graininess.
Yeah. I mean, I think the only thing for me, the one thing that, I knew, obviously, those of us who know Star Wars know that he's been dead since, the 90s. It wasn't him.
94, I believe.
Yeah. But I will say the eyes you can tell are CG.
Yeah.
Are not a person.
You can't get the eyes perfect because it's a mocap face.
Yeah.
So they have to animate the eyes.
Right. Now, I will say, I thought the technology is fantastic. For knowing it's a CG character, I thought he stood up pretty well along an entire human audience. But I think that there should have been more him speaking just I thought what they should have done is have him staring out the Death Star, because you could see his reflection in his face, but it was kind of muddled. So have him talking there like that, and don't have him turn around at all, because that makes him look more menacing too.
Yeah, it was somewhere in the uncanny valley for me, and that's, I think, it pulled me out of the movie a little bit but again, I have the knowledge that Peter Cushing died in the 90s, and that this is a ghost basically, right. And so for someone who doesn't have that knowledge. Like you said, that you went with a friend and they had no idea.
Because they didn't know that Peter Cushing was dead. They didn't know anything about it.
Did they have a sense something was odd about that person?
No, when I said I said that they had no idea that Leia, because they were like, wow, how'd they get that character at the end to look just like Princess Leia from the old movie? I was like, because that was a cartoon. That was a cartoon. You watched a cartoon. No, it was a cartoon, and I was like, and the guy Tarkin, I explained who it was. I was like, he was a cartoon too, and he was like, really? I was like, yeah, those 2 characters were complete computer.
So yeah, there was also a lot of stuff cut out of this movie that was in the trailers, mostly just lines, K2 saying I've been told you're a friend, I won't kill you, or this is a rebellion, I rebel.
Yeah, that happens all the time. When the
the whole movie I was like, well, when are they gonna say? Oh, they're not gonna say that line.
That's Suicide Squad. A lot of lines in Suicide trailers.
Now there was only one scene that looked like it straight up changed. and that's when she's standing on the platform and a TIE fighter comes racing up. That didn't happen.
Yeah.
Instead, Ben Mendelsohn comes out.
Yeah.
And
well, they did reshoots. So.
yeah, I'm assuming that the TIE fighter, it would have been shot down right before it hits her or something.
Yeah, maybe let's get out of here, kid. Blow this thing.
Yeah. Although in the trailer, seeing that was another great sense of scale, and it was a cool shot. Yeah. So I was hoping we were going to get that. We didn't get that one, but I mean, I love the cut that they came out with this movie.
And you know what? To dial it back for a second, talking about CG characters. So yeah, Tarkin, yeah, Leia, whatever. But the CG character who stole the show, K2.
Oh yeah, K2, Alan Tudyk.
You know what? I'm going to talk about K2's being fantastic, and then I also want to talk about the Force. What's his name? The Force sensitive.
Oh, the Guardians.
Donnie
Yen's character.
Yen, yeah.
I can't remember the name of the characters.
I can remember the actor's name. But yeah, K2. Okay, I love how the original prequels, wanted to add more comedy to it. I love how they wanted to. I don't love how they pulled it off.
No.
This one, fantastic.
Oh,
K2 was great.
K2 is everything that C-3PO should be.
And Jar Jar Binks should have been. Like, K2's lines are hilarious. His quips are great. He literally...
The way he moves is funny.
Yeah.
There's just something funny about, like, his gait.
I don't know if this was intentional or not, but when he says, go back to the ship, and he turns around and just starts running, didn't it look exactly like how the characters in Knights of the Old Republic used to run? Like, when they would go anywhere, it looked exactly like that. And I laughed. I was like, I pray that was intentional.
I like that they gave him moving pupils.
Yes.
It's made his character seem more alive than any of the other droids.
And I just... Well, and besides it matches his personality. His personality made him seem more alive than any droid we've ever had.
Yeah.
Like, BB-8's cute and all, but K2 is awesome.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see people cosplay K2.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. K2 was a lot of fun. And then we had Donnie Yen and the other guy?
Yeah. His name was like Baze or something.
Yeah. Basically, blind stick fighter and
bodyguard.
The heavy.
So these characters, Donnie Yen's character, obviously Force sensitive and would have been a Jedi, presumably, if the Jedi would have been around to train him. Yeah. But oh my gosh, he was awesome.
I was talking to our other brother, and he was mentioning the fact that he is possibly something from the extended universe called like Force Warrior, who's someone who can't exactly use the Force, but they can channel it, but they have to constantly be mindful of the Force, and that's why he's always chanting, I am the Force is with me.
Well, I think it was like kind of a religious thing.
Like, yeah, but like that, he does that to channel the Force.
Right.
He can't just like move something with his mind.
Maybe.
But like his last stand where he walks across the battlefield,
the Force is
and
definitely
somehow he doesn't get hit by anything.
Yeah,
Or the fact that he can hit stuff with a bowcaster like Chewbacca, but he's staring off in a different direction.
Right, yeah. No, the Force definitely was helping him out. I think the Force really was with all of them, because they lasted way longer than they should have.
Yeah.
And some of the things like Cassian, like, how do you survive that fall? Like, after getting shot. The Force was
the only South American in space.
Yeah.
He's a space Colombian.
Yeah, well, we got our only, I'm going to guess, where's the cargo pilot, his ethnicity? Is he Arabic?
The cargo pilot?
Yeah, the
I think he was probably Arabic.
Yeah,
or Indian, or maybe Pakistani.
I don't know, but I really enjoyed the entire cast, and I like the diversity of the cast. I know some people complain about that. I thought it was cool.
No, I thought it was great.
I thought it was cool to have.
I thought it was great. I liked that some of the characters, like in other war movies, died without ceremony. Yeah. Like the pilot, did all this thing. He had this great like Doc Brown moment of like, oh, Bonnie, the code's not long enough. Remember when he's stringing up the lightning, and he tries to pull and he has to get it undone, and then he's like, oh, guys, and then they shoot him off. It was all these great moments, and then just a grenade gets thrown in.
K2 just...
Well, K2 went out in a blaze of glory.
K2 went out but like that was one of the heart-wrenching deaths for me.
Dude, I almost teared up.
Yeah. I knew they were all gonna die, so it wasn't like any shock to me. But
I was surprised that they all died.
Oh, I knew they all were gonna die.
I thought one or two... it was a ballsy move by Disney to be like, kill them off.
Well, they had to die.
We don't need them.
None of them should have lived.
Well, I had not completely subscribed to the rumor, but just because the way that Hollywood is, that Jyn Erso goes on to meet Luke Skywalker post Episode 6 and have a child named Rey.
No,
Like-
no part of me thought that would happen. I was like, they're going to kill this girl.
Although apparently Felicity Jones has been signed on for another movie.
Really?
Yeah, so maybe
I have not heard that.
maybe it was because they weren't sure if they were going to kill off her character when they signed the deal, and then that'll be scrapped, or maybe she'll make an appearance in the Han Solo movie or something. Like it might go earlier in her timeline,
Or maybe
because there's a lot of years there where she, as a prisoner or as a criminal or whatever,
Well,
she
I was-
might bump into Solo.
or maybe she'll do a voice in like an episode of Rebels or something.
Well, I think it was for a movie,
Oh, God,
but it wasn't solidified as to like Rogue 2 or some bullshit.
well, Rogue 2 is the guy who saves them in Empire when they're in the ice planet. He's Rogue 2. I found them. That's Rogue 2.
Does he really say Rogue 2?
He's Rogue 2. Rogue 2 coming in.
Oh, dude, what a great callback.
He's Rogue 2. So yeah. But my favorite line in the movie, which had me laughing out loud for maybe a minute, was when Donnie Yen, they're bagging him, and he's like, "Are you kidding me? I'm blind." Like, I laughed so hard when that happened. So really, the heart was there. The writing, the
jokes hit. The jokes hit.
I think everything hit, and it had Darth Vader. So like I said, for me, Rogue One, 10 out of 10. I don't have much else to say except for can't wait for Episode 8.
Yeah, I think despite my nitpicks, which again are nitpicks, this is still a masterpiece. This is a 10 out of 10 movie.
Yeah.
And I heard someone saying like, "Oh, we don't need this. This is an unnecessary movie." Well, first of all movies are unnecessary. Go back to work, you peon.
Yeah.
But second, this movie was needed. We needed not just because we needed something to bridge the gap, but we also need something in Star Wars that is different than space opera.
Also, can I just say that now you have no right, fanboys or anyone, to be pissed off that they destroyed the Death Star so easily. Because now you get it. Now it makes sense, and it didn't feel forced. That made complete sense. Why the Death Star would be destroyed so easily.
It did feel forced, but in
The Force. Yeah.
it was, and I figured that's what the plan was going to be when it turns out that he was. Like when the news came out initially that he was the one who designed the weapon. And
I had
that I was like, I bet the exhaust port's a built-in flaw.
Yeah.
I
had a feeling also.
And the reason why, the Death Star probably has thousands of exhaust ports, but there's only one that's a trap. So that's why, like, if you think about how big it is, it doesn't matter how long an inspector would be on it, they would never find that.
Right. I mean, I liked the idea that he knew all along, but wanted to, hopefully see Jyn again or something, or if Jyn was dead and his wife was dead, the biggest fuck you he could give to the Empire was to make their thing so flawed.
Now, I don't think any of the characters had a really profound character arc.
K2.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, K2, I
Darth
guess.
Vader.
When he's handed the gun, Darth Vader didn't have a character arc. He was just Darth Vader.
No, he went from being in a back-to-tank, vulnerable, to as far from vulnerable as you could be. In 5 minutes.
I will say that Cassian
Andor.
I'll say that when we first see him, he kills an informant just to keep him quiet.
Because it shows what the rebels are willing to do.
Yeah,
and then
by the end of the movie, he's sacrificing himself.
Right.
So
he had
had a character arc.
I think
sure.
I think this movie did a good job of stressing the importance of the team over just one person.
Yeah.
Because really, the original trilogy and the rebels in general, the original trilogy, it's like Han, Luke, and Leia save the galaxy. Like the other rebels, whatever.
Yeah.
Like Return of the Jedi, you're like, okay, Lando and Wedge help, but it's still.
Yeah, and some fucking teddy bears.
This one, I didn't feel like Jyn Erso could not have done this without the team.
No.
And none of the team could have survived without. Everybody played their part.
Yeah.
Even that little guy who was played by
Warwick Davis.
Willow. Yeah, even Willow.
Warwick. What a badass name.
But yeah, so Rogue One, you stole my heart. I've seen you twice. I might go see you again. And by the way, if you haven't had the chance, everything that you're saying about the cinematography, go see this film in IMAX.
Oh, I'm already planning on it.
That is how it is meant to be seen. It is breathtaking. The environments were great. Scarif was beautiful. I want to go to Scarif for vacation.
The cliffs of Mustafar.
I actually thought that when they were landing on Scarif, in my head, I was like, man, thank goodness the Empire picks actually sometimes decent planets to live on. Because when they were going on the planet where Mads Mikkelsen was, I was like, oh great, another rainy, like,
Yeah,
horrible...
right.
Like, why do they build
I
facilities
bet
here?
we're gonna end up on a desert planet.
Yeah.
Oh, we ended up on a desert
Yeah, I was
planet.
like, why do they build the facilities here?
The Star Wars universe is kind of bleak.
Yeah.
But
So when I saw that, I was like...
And you know the funny thing about it?
They destroyed that planet.
You remember Spaceballs? Do you
Yes.
remember the plot of Spaceballs? That there was an oxygen shield? That was...
No.
Oh, okay. Well, it was that there was a big oxygen shield over the planet that the princess is from. It was straight up the shields from this movie.
Oh, yeah.
Like, when I saw that, I was like, oh, I think that's a nod to Spaceballs.
I had no idea.
That's a good call.
Right.
Deep cuts. But in any case, did you have anything else you wanted to add?
Can we get more Darth Vader, please? Can we get a Darth Vader anthology film? I don't want a young Han Solo. I don't even need a Boba. I love Boba
Well, we're
Fett.
getting young Han Solo.
I don't need a Boba Fett movie. I don't need Rogue 2, the story about the guy who saved them on Hoth.
Well,
like what he was up to.
What we need is
Darth Vader
a
movie.
quasi horror film with Darth Vader as Michael Myers.
We need
seen from the perspective of a Jedi on the run.
We need 2 hours of Darth Vader just killing everybody.
Yeah.
No plot, just music and Darth Vader.
How great would it be if it was just like a movie of Darth Vader showing up to like coming in his TIE Interceptor to a ship that is like powered down, like a distress beacon or whatever, and it's just him hunting down. Like there was a couple Jedi that made it away from Order 66 that they're on the ship like in hiding, and it's just him like cutting his way through the ship.
I think it'd be fine if they made like even a short film, like a 45-minute short or something that just shows more of Darth Vader doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah, because now we have a different type of movie in the Star Wars universe. Let's open it up. We can have a Star Wars horror movie. We can have Star Wars comedies.
I don't want a Star Wars comedy.
You don't want to.
I like
Star Wars comedy.
No, that's what Spaceballs is.
Oh, I suppose so. Yeah. And a gritty Netflix show.
That would be cool. Darth Vader Netflix show.
No, I was gonna say Darth Bane.
No, I don't want that.
If you want to fill in the universe, do it on Netflix.
No, I want a Darth Vader show.
Okay.
Like six episodes of Darth Vader.
6 episodes. That'll be the name of the show.
Yeah.
Or To Catch a Predator.
Oh, God. All right. So that's about do it for the Strong and the Geek this week. Join us next week, after the holiday, when we will be discussing the Assassin's Creed film. We also will be having our end of the year 5th week top 5 countdown.
Yeah.
And we will be counting down other video games that have been made into films and our opinion of them. Because usually our opinion is not good, so we'll see how Assassin's Creed holds up.
Yeah.
So that's about do it for the Strong and the Geek. Be sure to follow us on SoundCloud, YouTube, iTunes, Twitter, Facebook, and Gmail.
You can Gmail us.
Gmail us sometime.
Dick pics.
Ooh, DPs. At the Strong and the Geek, I am Josh Ramirez. You can follow me at Ramrez for Prez.
I am Ben Ramirez. You can follow me at the Ben Ramirez.
Also known as the Winter Warlock. Not the Winter Warlock.
Not the Winter Warlock.
And you all stay strong.
And stay geek.
Grandma got run over by a reindeer walking home from our house Christmas Eve. You can say there's no such thing as Santa, but as for me and Grandpa, we believe.
Time for that holiday post-credit scene.
Woo!
You know, Grandma drank too much eggnog, and I wanted to go and give her a fanny slap, but she left the apartment. The apartment building. She left it. I slapped her fanny twice before she left.
If you're watching this on a computer and you're just staring at it because you're waiting for the movie to start, and it turns out it's just a podcast the whole time, you might be ready.
Cool. If you listen to The Strong and the Geek every week, and you want to hear something bleak, and your favorite rapper is Meek Mills, and you want to tweak on a kiss on your cheek, then you might be redneck.
If you live in the same area where we shoot The Strong and the Geek, you're probably redneck.
If you want to shoot us because we're The Strong and the Geek, you might be redneck.
If you voted for Donald J. Trump, you might be redneck.